The two Canadian fishing boats collided in a heavy fog. The 164-foot Cape Beaver struck the 120-foot Margaret Jane amidships. The crew of the smaller wooden vessel moved to abandon ship, but when the steel-hulled Cape Beaver, its engines full astern, backed off, the Margaret Jane quickly began sinking. Some of the crew had time to put on life jackets, but others did not. Two fishermen wearing life preservers were pulled down by the sinking boat and did not escape.
Shit happens here too.
Our top story, the whereabouts of a father and son fishing crew remain unknown tonight in spite of a day-long search.
The Megan J is high and dry on the Littleton Wharf tonight. Family of the two missing fishermen found waterlogged mementos and helped officials look for clues as to how the vessel capsized. The overturned hull was spotted by a search plane this morning. It was towed back to port this evening. Divers made one last check for the crew inside before she was righted, but there was no sign of the missing men.
The bodies of the four dead men were brought ashore at Seatoun early this morning. They were below deck when the bow of the Sydney Express ploughed into the 17-metre fishing trawler. Trapped in the hull, they drowned before rescuers could reach them. Another man is missing, presumed drowned. His body couldn't be found on board the boat and is expected to wash ashore.
At 4:30 this morning, the Ouyang 86 became a steel oven. Two crew members trapped below decks in the bunkhouse had no chance. Firefighters had to stop other crew from forcing their way back on the vessel. Rescue efforts would have been futile. The ship's metal deck was white hot and foam had to be used as water turned to steam.
The wreck of the 15-metre Awanui was left high and dry. It's understood the trawler was hit by a huge wave and rolled as it tried to cross the bar. Its crew were tossed overboard. The river mouths into Westport and Greymouth are among the most dangerous in the country. They've claimed 13 lives in the past 8 years. 8 people have drowned entering the Grey River mouth and 5 entering the Buller. This trawler capsized trying to negotiate the Grey River bar 2 years ago. Captain Alistair Peach clung to a lifebuoy, but his first mate died in the raging surf.
Just how hazardous became obvious at 5:30 last night when the trawler sank, catching authorities and salvage experts by surprise.
Fishing is a hazardous occupation. Nobody pretends it isn't.
These waters have claimed dozens of boats since those days.
But the difference between a hazard at sea and a disaster is safety.
The Tairawani will end her life on this rough west coast beach. Today, a helicopter was used to salvage whatever could be.
But there's a problem.
The Tairawani was crippled after being...
The biggest difficulty with safety training and safety procedures is to get you people to take it seriously.
And everybody's life carries on, but everybody's thoughts are with the family at this time.
The boat was well known in the south. Its loss has left locals shocked.
You sort of don't think these things can happen to you, but they do, you know. And I don't know, my thoughts, I don't know, I still give it a bit of hope.
Well, listen up, people, and watch closely. Shit happens to anyone.
Yeah, we were fishing one day, and when it was time to come home, we were getting the boat ready to come home, and the boat's got flopper stoppers on it, arms out each side with rope and chain going into the water with a triangular paravane on it, and we've never had any problems with the flopper stoppers coming out of the water or anything, and we were just about ready to head for home, tying in trawl doors and stowing gear, and the flopper stopper came out of the water and hit the fella on the head.
Well, what happened is they put on a new net roller, and like everything was new, it just got put on and stuff, and it was our first trip with it. And when I was up the top, like guiding on the chains and that, you know, mid-water chains, and I was holding on to the chains, and what happened is the roller didn't hold, the brakes weren't holding, and it just kept turning when I was on it, and I just fell forward and just fell with the roller. And yeah, when I landed like my hands outstretched, and really busted up one of my arms really bad.
Yeah, well, I was getting prepared for sea and working down below on a deep sea fishing vessel, and we were loading up packaging. It was the first lift, and it got caught up on the hatch, and it was stropped up by ropes, and the hatch person was signalling it down, but it kept on coming down, and it was caught up, and the cartons flipped out, and they were done up by plastic, and come crashing down below, about 20 feet down below, bounced across and smashed me into the leg.
Anyway, yeah, there was a hose broke on the freezers in the factory on the first trip that I did on this new boat, and it was quite a bad leak, and the factory was evacuated, and they had a muster station up at the bridge, and I was forgotten. Well, not necessarily forgotten, but it was a bit of panic, and ammonia started leaking into the plant. I've got two fans. One's an inlet fan, comes in from the factory into my hold, and the outlet fan sucks the air out of the plant. And I was working away, and I could start smelling ammonia. No, I didn't think it was that bad, so I kept working, because we've had a few leaks before, and you know whether it's bad or not. And after about 10 minutes, it got really bad, and I couldn't breathe.
We were shooting the gear, and I was watching the net roller, mid-water net roller, and I was bending down with my left hand, just flicking meshes away from the mid-water weights, and my hand was to my side, my right hand, and a mesh fell on it with a twist, and I wasn't watching, and actually the mesh went back round the roller, so it pulled tight, and I didn't realise, and originally it was around my wrist, and I just happened to shake it down, and by then it was by then it was too late, and I remember, you know, watching each one, just my hand go like this, and with the tension it just cut straight through, and I kind of looked at my hand and thought, you know, has that really happened? And my fingers were facing the other way. And
we were trawling on a trawler, which is a side lifter, in the early hours of the evening, and we'd retrieved the trawl, and we were lifting the bag over the side when we suffered a gear failure in one of the lifting booms. The actual metal of the tube pulled apart, letting the whole lot come crashing down to the deck, which the 3.5 to 4.5 tons of fish we were lifting brought down. We were unfortunate, and we had a young deckhand who was doing his job standing underneath it. The block and tackle assembly hit him in the middle of the back, which pretty well killed him instantaneously.